Madam Chair, I rise to offer a simple amendment to address an overreach by the executive branch of the federal government. My amendment bans the use of federal funds for the implementation of Executive Order 13547. Executive Order 13547, signed in 2009, requires that various bureaucracies essentially zone the ocean and the sources thereof. This could mean that a drop of rain that lands on your roof could cause the federal government to have jurisdiction over your property, since that drop will eventually wind up in the ocean. Concerns have been raised that the recently created National Ocean Policy may not only restrict ocean and inland activities, but given that it has not received any of its own funding, it will take scarce funds away from federal agencies and their currently authorized activities that are critical to the ocean and coastal economies, as well as our overall economy. And I look at a chart that I prepare. I look at chart 1, reveals just how overreaching, overly burdensome, and ill-conceived this plan is. The Natural Resources Committee continues to ask questions about ocean zoning, including its scope and its cost. However, we are not getting answers from the administration. Where's the watershed? This chart, which is just the watershed for the Mississippi River, our largest river, shows that 26 states would be affected by ocean zoning. It gives this executive order would give unprecedented federal reach by the federal regional planning bodies to areas far inland to dictate activities that may affect the ocean or Great Lakes. And this is just one example of the incredible reach of this particular law, or this particular executive order. When you hear the words national policy, it sounds benign, but that's only a small part of the story. The scope and reach of this regulation is why we have the Chamber of Commerce, the American Farm Bureau, the home builders, the timber, mining, and fisheries groups weighing in so heavily against this executive order. It affects our whole nation and our whole economy. Again, if you think about it, it means a drop of rain that falls on your property could be subject to this law. No, the red one. Now, the last thing we need in Washington today is more bureaucracies. And you can see by this chart, this executive order creates a huge new bureaucracy at a time when we're trying to grow our economy. This law, this policy has been debated in the last 4 Congresses. And each time, Congress elected to do nothing. So Congress explicitly does not intend for the oceans to be zoned in the manner that the President's proposed to do it. Thus, Executive Order 13547 has no specific statutory authority, and there have been no congressional appropriations to pay for the cost of this new bureaucracy. There are 63 agencies that are involved with this new policy. The last thing we need is more federal bureaucracy trying to say that it's enacting a policy which doesn't cost anything. The last thing we need are more regulations from bodies like this in an already uncertain economic environment. We also have a list of 83 groups that are in support of our proposed amendment. And these groups include, as I said before, the American Farm Bureau, the Chamber of Commerce, the National Association of Home Builders, the offshore fishing industries, not only recreational but commercial, and the energy industries, including the renewable energy industries. We have letters of support for this as well. In closing, there are significant concerns that remain related to the implementation of this executive order, its impact, the limit of its authority, and the lack of true stakeholder involvement. I urge you to support this amendment and stop excessive regulation and protect our ocean and affiliated inland economies. The particular agency that's affected under CJS more than any of the others is the Coastal and Marine Spatial Planning Office, and that was specifically zeroed out in fiscal 2012. But this is the group, that red chart shows you that it's still actively involved in the process. Now, where they're getting the money, I don't know, but we have to assume it's from the taxpayer. I'm just asking that Congress do what Congress intended, and that's not to have this activity. Thank you. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back his time.